And according to the sage, there's 6 sources of strength for a planet. And the purpose of this analysis of the 6 strengths is to determine the ability of the planet to fulfill its promise.
Promise?
Yeah, whatever its significations are, whatever its natural attributes are, and whatever house it's associated with, those elements will be fulfilled based on the planet's strength. So strong planets give good results, weak planets will give problems, and each planet will give results according to its natural functions within the 4 aims of life. The ones that we just discussed, Dharma, Artha, Moksha, and Kama. So we're not going to discuss the calculation of these numerical values. There's like an elaborate calculation for all of these, and this is to help us gain an understanding of what planetary strength is and how we arrive at it, what it means when a planet's strong.
That's the key.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be strong? What makes a planet strong?
Right. So determining the strength of the planet also, it fortifies the accuracy of predictions. The planet is, let's say the lord of the 9th house, and you see in a computer program that says, oh, you're in such and such a dasha, you're going to have good luck, but the planet's like debilitated and aspected by Saturn and Rahu and God knows what else, Yeah, if it's got many problems, so the strength of that planet may not, fulfill its promise of being the 9th lord. Conversely, if planets are signified or aspected otherwise, so we want to figure out all this stuff. Chapter 29 of Parashara states the 6 sources of strength. So
let's all open up.
And if somebody would like to read the first verse.
What's the page?
On Dharma edition 385.
I'll read it.
Okay. So where are we at?
Now I speak.
Actually, what do we want to do?
Sure, that's probably where it is.
Yeah. Alright, somebody go for it.
Now I speak of the strength of the planets, which is derived by them due to their position and time.
Position and time.
Deduct from the longitude of the planet its deep debilitation point. If the remainder is less than 6 signs, consider it as it is. If it exceeds 6 signs, it is deducted from 12 signs. The remainder is converted into degrees, etc., and is divided by 3. The quotient is the Ṣaḍbala, or exaltation strength.
Okay, so this is the first source of strength, exaltation strength. And this involves a lot of math. I think I made a quote that says that I quoted from an online source. Okay? Said this is BPHS online. And I copied this into the document. So this Ṣaḍbala consists of the following. Sthāna-Bala, which is positional strength, digbala, directional strength, Kala-Bala, temporal strength, and inclusive of Ayana-Bala, equinoctial, Shastri-Bala, motional, Nisargika-Bala, natural strength, and Jyotish-Bala, aspectual. So, the nodes aren't considered for these strengths. So that's six sources of strength. It's a lot of information. So what I intend to do here is talk about the first one first. First things first. And the first source of strength is Sthāna-Bala. And if we could read the quote from my online source, and we can find out what Sthāna-Bala or positional strength is composed of. Anybody?
Is it the Sthāna-Bala comprises?
Yeah.
Italic here. Sthāna-Bala comprises of the following considerations: Ucha-Bala, exaltation; Saptavarga-Bala, strength occurring out of positions in Rasi, Hora, Dreshkana, Saptana, Navamsha, Dwadashamsha, and Trimshamsha. Can't read this one.
Odd even.
Odd even Rashi Bala, acquired by placement in odd or even Rashi and in odd or even Navamsha. Kandrati Bala due to placement in Kona or Panapara or Apoklima Bala. Dreshkana Bala due to placement in first, second, or third decana of a Rashi.
So, I'm not going to clarify any of that. I just want to illustrate that that's a lot of information for planet strength. And so it's the first source of strength. You know, our purpose here is to simplify this and make it accessible so we can glance at a chart and say, oh, okay, planet is in such and such a sign, it has this strength. And
What is Kona again?
It's Kona, it's saying Kona, but it's actually Kendra. That's a misprint. Mistranslation. Should be Kendra.
Placement in Kendra.
Kendra Panapara Apoklima. I'm sure that's what the online source says.
right,
That's
yeah,
not
I'm
Kendra.
sure that's
Yeah,
I didn't even look that over. Anyway,
It's fine.
alright.
Are you going to break down what each of these is, or?
I'm going to break this down through the rest of this article. I'm breaking the first source of strength all the way down, and we don't get to the second source till page 6.
Okay.
So, yeah. But the first source of strength, we went over exaltation. We know what all the exaltation of the planets is and how that affects the expression of the planets. And on page 2, we have the exact exaltation and debilitation degrees for each one of the planets. So these are the points in the zodiac that we would use for calculating the exact. So we would, you know, if we were going to, what the computer program does is it uses these points to calculate the exact strength. So we end up with the number that it gives us, you know, and see, looking at the number without understanding how it's arrived at, there's a tendency to you know, miss the point of how we arrive at strength, the process of analysis, and you know, what these ancient astrologers did. They were great mathematicians. They would look at these things, they would do the math, they say blah 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 blah, and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and they give the prediction. Okay. So
And just so everybody can see, this is a chart right here. See that graph? Possible that everybody see that? This is what we're talking about, and this is what it shows up on your computer. So when he says give the number, it gives this graph. In Jehora, if you click on strength, and then you go to show shadbala breakdown. That's what he's doing. He's showing the breakdown of these calculations.
right.
And this is on the second page of the Jehora handout. The Jehora printout. This is the strength on the second page.
Okay, so planets in their exaltation give what percent auspicious result? How much auspicious results do we get from a planet in exaltation?
100%.
100%. So, does anybody have any exalted planets in their chart? You got an exalted planet?
I do.
Which planet you got?
Sun.
The sun. So what? And the sun is associated with what house?
12.
The 12th house, 12th lord, exalted in
No, it's not the 12th.
I think it's 12.
It's in the 12th house.
In
in
his
the
chart.
12th
No,
house.
in his
Oh,
chart.
it's in the 12th house. So that means that it's lord of the 5th house. It's lord of the lord of the
Fourth house.
lord of the
Fourth
4th
house.
house.
Fourth
Fourth
house
lord
is
of the 12th.
Fourth
But
house.
it's exalted.
Leo.
Yeah, so Leo's your
Yeah.
4th house.
Yeah, that's right.
So that planet, we could say, would produce some results in terms of spirituality. Yeah, auspicious results.
Not 100%.
But well, see,
It's in a bad house.
it's in a bad house, so we get
Karkasthana,
it's Marna Karkasthana. So it would give some let's say the significations of the planet are not so good in the 12th house. But this is one source of strength. That's why there's 6. So we weigh all of these factors. So that's the first source. We say is the planet. First, we know that the planet's strong. It's in Aries. It's strong. Okay. So then the rest of the planets. So the next one, if somebody can read, the planets are strong when in their Moola Trikona signs.
The planets are strong when in their Moola Trikona signs. Moola means root, Trikona means triune. The planets, with the exception of the luminaries, both rule 2 signs. The Moola Trikona sign is usually found to exert more active influence. Planets in these signs are supported to fulfill their individual dharma. Their natural characteristics are eminent. These signs may be considered the home office of their ruling planets. The exact degrees follow each planet.
Okay, so the Moola Trikona signs, and if somebody would like to read the Moola Trikona signs for all these planets, they you can just kind of go around that.
Moola Trikona sign?
Yeah.
The Moola Trikona sign for the sun is Leo. Is that what you mean?
Yep. And the degrees is from 0 to 20 degrees. If the sun is in Leo, 0 to 20 degrees, it's in its Moola Trikona. If it's in the last 10 degrees of Leo, then it's, according to this, it's not.
So 3 degrees to 30 degrees, if the moon is in Taurus, it's in its Moola Trikona.
Right.
0 to 12, it's Mars is in Aries.
Yes.
15 to 20 degrees, it's Mercury's in Virgo. 0 to 10 degrees, Jupiter's in Sagittarius. 0 to 15 degrees, Venus is in Libra. And 0 to 20 degrees, it's Saturn is in Cancer.
So these planets are capable of giving 75% auspicious results.
Auspicious is an interesting word here. They'll give 75% of their results.
75%
The
of
good
the
results representative of that planet, but representative of that planet where it is.
Ah.
Okay.
So it's not like a planet is.
It's not 100% guaranteed. If it's exalted, it's not guaranteed to give you 100% of everything good of that planet. Because, for example, like he has that sun in the 12th house, so what does the sun represent in the 12th house? It's great for meditation.
Right.
It's great for self-knowledge, for meditating on the self. He gets 100% of that. On the level of becoming a king, the sun is not a king in the 12th house, it's a king in the 1st house.
Mm.
So he doesn't get the result, the 100% result of the sun becoming a king, but it'll get 100% of the result of the sun in the 12th house.
Got it.
Okay?
So planets in their own signs are next in strength, and they give 50% of their results. so half and half. We get the Sun is in Leo, Moon in Cancer, Mars in Scorpio, Aries, Mercury, Gemini, Virgo, Jupiter, Pisces, Sagittarius, Venus, Taurus and Libra, Saturn in Capricorn and Aquarius.
So, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So, you've got Mercury at 15 degrees Virgo as exalted, getting 100% results. Then you lose half of it by losing 1 degree if it's at 14 degrees. It goes all the way down to, that's a bummer.
Bummer.
Wow.
Yeah,
Not fair.
it happens.
That's kind of alongside my question. So if you have a planet in its own sign and it's getting 50% results, then based on like aspects, can it ever go above 50%? Like if there's a benefic aspect and...
Well, let's say a planet is like the Moon, for instance, is got an aspect of Jupiter.
Right.
That's definitely going to enhance the strength of the planet, or any benefic, like a well dignified Venus would give a.
But it enhances it according to the indication. So the actual the Sthāna-Bala shows the position, the how strong and the planet has risen. So let's say we're talking about Venus, and it's only in its own sign. So it's risen halfway up in life. So let's see, the lowest Venus can get, think of a woman. It becomes a prostitute out on the corner. The highest Venus can get is to be the queen goddess in charge of like maybe a huge cosmetic company. Okay? We're looking at these two levels of Venus. The in-between is maybe working in a bank firm, making a nice pay. So that's the in-between. Now, so that's the planet showing how far the planet's going to rise on that scale. Now the aspect is going to show what's supporting that planet. So that's where the planet's naturally rising, and then the aspect of Jupiter shows resources. So once it gets to the bank, it's going to rise even a little higher because it has more resources. Where is it at, and then what's helping it to go even farther.
So this strength, it
But one of
basically
it's
shows
naturally
its
where-
position. So its status. We're talking just about the status of the planet. So a person like, let's say, like Mark, may be a king, right? But where is he a king? He's the king in the
ashram.
In the ashram.
That's meditation.
Yeah.
So she gets a really benign pimp or a bad pimp. It's Saturn and what's aspecting it.
Exactly.
Or if it's Jupiter,
If
it's got a really sweet, kind, doesn't hit her.
Exactly.
Gives her, shares the money with her.
So we get to the status, and then we get what the situation and what's helping and hurting that.
It's really old. Saturn.
Either the Sydney Barrows
That was just a good
or
Great example.
It's a good example, though. But so that's how we're using them together.
You started there.
Oh, well, it was a good
He
example.
mentioned Venus, and so I just talked about the levels of Venus.
Yeah, well, there's the guy that. I'm not going to go into a movie I saw last night.
Okay.
Alright. The next one, somebody want to read the next one? On page 3.
Planets in friendly signs, 25% auspicious effect. Is that what you're talking
Yes.
Signs that are of the same element, fire, water, air, earth. The lords of these signs are friendly to one another, and thus a planet placed in a friendly sign will function relatively well. These planets' placements are much more sensitive to other factors in determining their inherent strength, such as the placement of the ruler of the sign.
So a planet in a sign that is a friend, we can, simplify determining planetary friendships. All of the planets that belong to signs that are of the same element are friendly to one another. So if we look here on the that's always. There are other factors that will determine other relationships of the planets one with the other. And this table gives the natural relationships for each planet. If you see like the sun, who it's naturally friendly with, the moon, Mars, and Jupiter.
Would moon be ruled by water, which is not friendly to fire, which is sun?
Yeah, this is what the
This is official.
this is official, yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
at this we're looking at the status that this kind of planet holds in life. Sun is the king. Who's he friendly with? He's friendly with the moon, the queen. He's friendly with Mars, the general. And he's friendly with Jupiter, the priest. He's neutral to Mercury, the businessman. And enemies with Venus, the pleasure seekers, and Saturn, the people who want democracy, the hard labor workers. Works to keep them at bay. So we look at the friendship and enmities at that level.
Okay.
That's the best way to remember.
Okay. So what threw me is signs that are the same element.
Well, that's one way of
That's
determining the relationship.
Saying
That's
what
like, so
compatible.
if you look at a chart and you say, oh well, these air signs, they have like the
Okay.
lords of each other's signs in each other's houses.
Okay.
Those are friendly associations. But then this goes into the natural relationships of each planet according to what the texts say.
So what's the
This is
log-
how they work together. The elements is how they aspect each other.
So what's the logic behind, for the moon, Mercury is a friend, but for Mercury, moon is an enemy?
Well, for the moon has no enemies, first of all. So Mercury, however, is the intellect, and it doesn't want to be burdened with a bunch of emotional considerations. That's one way of looking at it. Hey, I'm trying to think here, and you're just over there. You're just I mean, will you go and call your girlfriend on the telephone? Because I don't have time for this. Case closed.
Mercury cutting off the emotions in the moon.
Yeah.
And then for moon, then why then Mercury being the friend?
Well, because, see now, for the moon, Mercury can give a little bit of discretion. It can give a little bit of, unemotional input that can guide the emotions into maybe some more intelligent expression, like, yeah. So rather than the mind being under the influence of the emotions, the moon is under the influence of the mind and the ability to discern reality, whatever level of reality you're at. Yeah. Yes. So using this table, we can commit these relationships to memory. It's a good thing when if we're going to look at a chart and say this planet is in this sign, and is it a friendly relationship? Is it
Commit it to memory or keep it handy.
Yeah, keep it handy. I haven't committed it to memory yet, so I keep it handy.
You're being very curious. This is very important to
Yeah.
know. Either you have it in a chart
We'll get into just how, as he goes through, you'll see how you'll see how everything depends on this for strength as we go through.
So,
because if a planet's not exalted and it's not debilitated, then what is it? And there's all these in-between places. And this is what we use to see how strong those in-between places are.
The next situation is what the relationship of the planet in terms of the other planets. The temporal relationship is called. So what does it say there, right under the natural relationship chart?
Natural relations.
situated in second, third, fourth, that part?
Yep.
Planets situated second, third, fourth, and 12, 11, 10. From the planet being examined are its temporary friends, and the rest are its temporal enemies.
Right.
You
So
want to add the first house too.
the first house.
That's enemy.
The first house is an enemy. Okay.
Why?
There can only be one king, so other planets in the
Yay.
house.
Oh, right.
The planet likes to have space.
So it's kind of like the
Well, like you
planet's
said,
crowded.
There can only be one king.
It's crowded in its own house. Got yeah, that's right. It can only be one king. So these are the compound relationships for the planet. A friend plus a friend equals a great friend. A friend plus a neutral equals a friend. Friend plus an enemy equals a neutral. And an enemy plus a neutral equals an enemy. An enemy plus an enemy equals a great enemy. So these kind of like illustrate that if you're in a environment where there's hatred and discord, you're not going to function very well. And the energy that you expend would be either to defend yourself or to attack or otherwise waste your energy on activities that don't support your natural expression. Yeah.
Can we get some examples?
Well, let's see. Yeah, we can give some examples.
You mean by chart examples or something?
Yeah, chart example. Well, we have some. We have
Examples in there?
we have some examples in here. So if we could turn to, let's see, page 5, and we'll look at Ann Smith's chart.
Ann Smith.
Right.
She's not here.
She's not here.
I don't know.
The top one.
1938.
Yeah, not that.
Yeah.
Husband.
She's not married, so.
So let's look at the moon. Do we need to calculate for the moon?
It's exalted.
Do we need to calculate friendship or enemy?
His friendship, you can do it.
It's exalted.
Exalted, so we know.
We don't need to calculate. It's exalted or debilitated, that's what it is.
But let's take a look at what do we got over here? In the 8th house. What is that eighth? What's going on over there? Holy Moses! Who's gonna come up on top there?
Which one do we not need to calculate?
Jupiter.
We don't need to calculate Jupiter.
Right. Because Jupiter is debilitated.
So let's calculate all of them.
Okay, so the sun.
Sun. Is it a friend or an enemy of Saturn, our Lord?
The enemy.
Okay, so write an E underneath of it.
Where?
Sun, it's in Saturn's sign, right?
Yeah.
So put an E underneath of it, because it's an enemy of Saturn.
And now where's Saturn? Where's Saturn in relationship? It's
Very wise good friend.
so it's a friend. So we have an enemy and a friend. What does that give us? The neutral.
So E plus F equals N. So he's neutral, right? N underneath.
Now what about Mercury? So Mercury is a what to Saturn? Friend.
Friend.
So we got friend and friend. So what does that give us?
Mercury's neutral. Neutral. Saturn's Mercury and Saturn.
Mercury is a friend to Saturn.
Saturn.
Not Saturn to Mercury, Mercury to Saturn.
But Saturn and Jupiter is neutral.
Mercury.
We
Oh,
get sun.
but Jupiter's debilitated and that.
Jupiter's debilitated, we don't need to do.
Yeah. We can, when we calculate the avastas, how the planet feels, then we can look at that situation.
So Mercury's in a neutral friend, a neutral house, but he's friend to that neutral.
Well, is it Mercury in a neutral's house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Saturn is neutral to Mercury.
But-
Mercury is friend to Saturn, but Saturn is neutral to Mercury.
Saturn is so.
If Saturn were a Gemini, that would be friend.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a friend. Okay, I'm
Mercury's
sorry.
in Saturn.
Okay, so it's a neutral and a friend. That gives us
Friend.
a friend. Hold on. Wait, did I?
No. It's because we take the sign that it's in on this chart,
Yes.
in that chart, and Mercury is sitting in a friendly place.
That's
So
what I
it's
thought.
naturally a friend.
So Mercury's in a friend's house,
It's in a friend's house,
and it's and Saturn is a temporal friend.
and Saturn's a temporal friend, so it becomes a great friend.
So we got a great friend.
But this
But
chart
the-
doesn't say that. This chart says that
Says Mercury's in a
Mercury is, with Saturn is neutral. I mean, I'm looking at page 3.
Page 3. So we look at the planet Saturn.
No, look at Mercury.
Which one?
Mercury's in, if we're looking at Mercury, look at Mercury.
You
and
can
Right.
look at Mercury, you can look at Saturn.
So which one do we use?
No, we use Mercury.
Well, look at the moon. No, the moon has no enmity towards anybody.
Right.
Right?
So anything in Cancer is good.
Anything in Cancer is good?
No, that means the moon is good everywhere.
The moon is good everywhere.
But Mercury in Cancer would be bad, because Mercury is an enemy to the moon. Oh wait.
So is it Mercury?
Yeah, Mercury's the enemy to the moon, so Mercury wouldn't be good in Cancer. So Mercury in a neutral planet's house, Saturn, would mean neutral.
Here's the question, how do we read the chart then? How do we use it when you're doing these?
If Saturn were in Gemini, that would be true, but
Oh,
Mercury
I
is
see,
in
I see.
Capricorn.
Oh, okay.
Is that right, Imagine?
Why do we
Imagine
have
if you had-
I don't know.
Right.
Is that right?
I would read it the same way that you
It's
do.
just, like,
That's my
If we looked
understanding.
down at Saturn, wanted to know where Saturn was,
Maybe it's friend.
we would say Saturn's
Okay,
Gemini.
what
Right,
about-
that's what's in the chart.
you look
Saturn
at,
to Venus.
yeah,
This
the
is a
column
friend.
It's a friend,
and then go to the
actually.
left from that planet, right?
Well, the way I was using this was that,
It's a friend. Yeah.
so Mercury is in the sign of Saturn. That's a neutral sign.
Right, if it were in Mars's house, that would be neutral.
If it were in Jupiter's house, that would be neutral as
So
well.
what, Saturn's in that.
Okay, so
yeah.
Saturn is a neutral.
It's listed here as friend,
Okay.
so it has to be friend plus neutral.
Friend plus neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, so then this chart is.
So which one is it? Which one's a friend?
So in
So-
order to be friend plus neutral,
It has to be a neutral.
Okay, so it's a friend.
Its temporal relationship is friend, but its natural relationship is neutral.
Okay.
Is that right?
so that means we take the planet that we're looking at in this chart,
The planet
The
that we're
first
looking
chart.
at is in the first
On
is
the
in the
left
first
column.
row.
and then we look at the lord that it's in going across that way.
Planet.
Okay. So in this case, we look at Mercury, the planet that we're looking at. The Lord, whose sign it's in, is Saturn,
Mhm.
and that's a neutral relationship plus a friendly relationship gives us a friend. All right, so let's take a look at Venus.
That's a friend.
So Venus gets a friend. That's a great friend.
Yep,
So, how do you calculate the second planet times
25%.
The second planet is you take a look at the Lord of the sign.
Saturn?
Yeah, and you see where that is placed. Is it placed second, third, or fourth, or 12th, 11th, or 10th from the planet?
Oh, okay.
That would indicate whether it's friendly or not in terms of its temporal relationship.
So we're adding one natural relationship and one temporary relationship to get the result.
Yes.
Every time.
And then we'll refer back to Anne because she seems like a very interesting example to use.
She's a good person.
She's a good person, yeah.
So, Janet, your ratios down here of auspicious and auspicious, does it mean that neutral gets, 12.5%? Does that go with that?
So a neutral planet,
Neutral's not down there in the ratio.
it's not in the ratios.
Neutral we use later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you create percentages with or do you?
They fall into friendly or enemy.
Oh, okay. So it's either going to be 25.
Enemies will be about 25%.
So
25 to
yeah, we're
25%.
just looking at this.
Okay.
This is just the status of the planet. This is just the first source of strength. The position in the sign, whether it's a strong planet in terms of that placement.
And this all has to do with Ṣaḍbala, Sthāna-Bala?
Sthāna-Bala is the
Sthāna-Bala.
first source of strength in the Ṣaḍbala. So, can I go into cancellation?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna skip cancellation.
That's a whole class.
That's a whole class. All right, this is something that you guys can take a look at and determine its usefulness as per whatever instance you find it useful. So the next source of strength in the sthana is Saptavarga Bala, strength in the 7 divisional charts. So those 7 divisional charts, the Rashi chart, the birth chart, the aura, the hora, I'm sorry, Drekana, Saptamsa, Navamsha, Dwadadamsha, and Trimshamsha. And those are the numbers. D3, D7, D9, D12, and D30. Can somebody read the paragraph? Page number 5.
Saptavarga Bala.
Yes, sir.
Okay, strength of the divisional charts gives information on how the planet is situated in terms of resources, D2, skills, D3, desires, D7, fortune, D9, influence of parents, D12, and serious shortcomings or evils, D30.
Wait a minute, that's not right. Isn't skills goes, I'm sorry, I have it backwards, okay. Parents is D12, okay.
So the Rashi chart indicates the physical stage where all the action takes place. The Navamsa or the 9th division is most often referred to for additional information regarding the strength of the planets. For instance, if the planet is strong in the birth chart, then if it is equally strong in the Navamsa chart, then one could say that the planet's strength is fortunate or vice versa. One of the many uses of the Navamsa chart is in determining the inherent strength of the planet. For the sake of simplicity, the above rules for positional strength may be applied to the Navamsa. The Navamsa is by far the most frequently used and most important divisional chart.
Okay, so let's take a look at Anne's chart again. And we see, let's take a look at the sun again. And so we know the sun's weak, alright? But how weak is the sun? What's going on there? Sun, where is it placed in the
What was the sun we had? It was a neutral, right?
it was
Enemy.
it was an enemy and a friend, which is a neutral.
Okay.
Oh, that's amazing.
So what do we have? The sun is it's in the 8th house in the Navamsha, and it's with 3 enemies: Venus, Saturn, and Rahu. So this is kind of jumping ahead a little, but if we take a look at the, so what we have confirmed is that the sun is weak and is afflicted by malefic planets. Yeah.
Which
So,
chart are you looking at?
the one,
Focus on that in the box though.
what's that? Oh, I'll focus on that in blocks. Alright, so let's take a look at her moon. So, her moon is exalted, and where's the moon placed in this Navamsha chart?
Cancer.
In Cancer. So, its strength is confirmed. So, I had a little bit of information about this person, and says this person was very strong to help other people. She cared about others. She served other people in the ways that she did. That's what was her reputation. So, it's confirmed. The moon is in Cancer, and it's in the 6th house. She serves other people. She cares about people. Probably to her detriment. Yeah. Anyway. Strong moon.
So just a little addition to what's here. So what happens is we take the Rashi, the D2, D3, D7, D9, D12, and D30. And what they do in the calculations to get those graphs is if a planet's in its own sign, it gets 30 points. If it's in a friend sign, it gets 15 points. If it's in, it gets points for what it's in. If it's in an enemy sign, it gets 3 points. If it's in a great enemy, it gets only 1.5 points. And if it's, debilitated, it gets no points. And so they take all these, they put the numbers in for all these charts, and then they average them together to get a numerical thing for how strong it is in the 7 Vargas. And that's that calculation.
What's the most you can get?
It averages out to, on the graph, I think.
Oh, you just said 30 for if it's in the sun house, so I was wondering what exalted was.
I think it's 60.
Oh, okay.
Generally, that's your...
How is it 378 and 423 and all the Ṣaḍbala? Is that different?
They add the Saptavarga Bala with the previous one, the Ucha Bala, and then the next one they add that together, and then the next one. All these are all part of Sthāna-Bala.
Oh, man.
So Sthāna-Bala is composed of all these different aspects.
Yeah, so that's why I said we weren't going to calculate this. We were just going to go over what it means.
But just knowing that they're looking at how strong each of the planets are in each of the Vargas.
So the next one. Somebody want to read the next? Page number 6.
Ojaya Gumabala?
Yep.
Ojaya Yugma. How do you say it?
Oja Yugma.
Oja Yugma Bala. Oja means odd, Yugma means even. The idea behind this is that a planet gains strength in an even female Saumya or odd male Krura sign in Rasi or Navamsha. The female planets Moon and Venus get points for being in an even sign in Navamsha. The male planets Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn get points for being in odd signs in Navamsha.
Does that make sense? So it's getting strength from every angle, and this we're giving it, some gender-related strength.
So even gender, a harsh planet can be more harsh in a harsh sign.
Oh, right.
Female planet can be more feminine in a female sign. So the natural signification for that planet can come out more when they're in the sign that supports them. And what happens is 15 points are given if it's in the right sign in the Rashi, and 15 points are given if it's in the right sign in the Navamsha. So they can get 30 points total. And if they're not, they either get the points or they don't get the points. And then that's calculated into, those numbers are calculated in. So that means that this strength kind of shows, it just shows that, female women are more powerful with women, men are more powerful in a men's place. It's just, it allows that natural aspect of them to come out more. And the neuter planets go with the male signs in this case. Next strength.
Sthāna-Bala. Who wants to read?
Um,
Alright.
Kendradi means
Kendra, Adi. Kendras, etc.
The planets gain full strength by being placed in kendras or angular houses, 1, 4, 7, 10. They gain middling strength by being placed in panafaras or houses of sustenance, 2, 5, 8, 11. And lesser strength in apoklimas or houses that are subject to transition or change, 3, 6, 9, 12. The reasoning here is that the planets in angles are likely to get the most action. Planets placed in 3, 6, 8, 12 are often destroyed.
So we just learned about apoklimas and panafaras and kendras.
Yeah, so this is applied to determine how a planet is going to act in a person's life, what level of prominence it'll take, aside from its inherent strength by position, where it's placed in the house is how much relative importance that individual's life is going to, be affected by that planet.
So that means in kendras it's going to affect you more.
Yeah, if you have a planet in the first house, for instance,
it's going to affect you more than a planet in the second house.
Right.
So is it general, it could be general as a thumb rule, say that it's good to have the melitics in the apoklimas more because they'll be weaker? No? Okay.
It's not, at that level it's not about that. It's more just about which ones are going to be affecting your life more. And what's better, if you're a soldier, you put Mars exalted in the first house. If you're not a soldier, if you're working in a nursery, the last thing you want is exalted Saturn in the first house. If you have exalted Mars, exalted Mars in the first house, you won't end up working in a nursery taking care of babies. Like this, So it's just showing the prominence of what's going to take more effect. So if the person has Mars exalted in the first house and Jupiter and Jupiter exalt, what would be it's just and something exalted in one of the other houses, in a Panapara apoklima, then that which one's going to show more predominance? It's going to show us that. Which one's standing out more, has a little bit more strength in the life to affect things. And if you remember when we calculated Moola Dasha, we used this rule. We went first Kendra, then,
Alright, the next one, Sthāna-Bala. The male planets Sun, Mars, and Jupiter. Hermaphrodite planets Saturn and Mercury. And female planets Moon and Venus receive a small portion for respectively being in the first, second, or third division of the sign.
Translate that.
So, by dividing each sign into 3 parts, if the Sun, Mars, and Jupiter fall in the first 10 degrees of a sign, then it has Sthāna-Bala. If Mercury and Saturn are placed between 10 and 20 degrees in a sign, it gets this strength as well. And the Moon and Venus get this strength by being in the last 10 degrees of the sign. Now what this planet's strength indicates? What does this planet's strength indicate?
Sthāna-Bala.
Sthāna-Bala. So we know that.
What's Sthāna show us?
Sthāna shows the courage, the vikrama.
Courage, skills.
Short thing.
Shows application of skills.
Application of skills.
and it shows where the planet is best able to apply the skills that it has.
So we might take a little break and take a look at our charts and see if we have any of these planets. Any of our planets placed in any of these positions. Male planets, Sun, Mars, and Jupiter, 0 to 10 degrees. Saturn and Mercury, 10 to 20 degrees.
I got Mars 0 to 10.
You got Mars 0 to 10.
Yeah.
And
That's in
freedom.
the Sthāna-Bala or the Rashi?
We look in the Rashi, right?
In the
Look
Rashi
in the
chart.
Rashi. The Drekana is in the Rashi.
Oh, yeah.
Drekana is when you divide the Rashi into 3.
Okay, so...
Right?
Okay.
I have
So-
the sun.
You have what? The Sun?
I have Mars
You have Mars?
in the first record.
I don't.
Yeah,
So-
Saturn.
Mm.
Second.
You take a look at the degrees here.
Mhm.
You got the Sun.
Sun and Saturn.
Sun is 24 degrees Aquarius. So is that between 0 and 10 degrees, the first 10 degrees of Aquarius?
Nope.
Nope, so the Sun doesn't get that strength. But the Moon is 22 degrees Gemini, and that would qualify the Moon for getting this strength. So your courage is more on the emotional front rather than How about Mars? Let's see, where's Mars? Mars is 17 degrees Capricorn. No, it doesn't get that strength. What about Mercury? Nope, Mercury don't get that strength. But Jupiter sure does. Jupiter's 7 degrees Sagittarius. It gets that strength. So the Moon and Jupiter, you have a tendency. You're a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Jupiter.
that's Jupiter's the teacher. So that strength comes out in teaching, and the Moon here is in Gemini. The Moon has that strength. So
Shows
that
good skills. You're able to apply the skills of Jupiter in teaching.
Mhm. Oh.
and the Moon may give some like emotional intelligence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 3 years is all about the emotional brain
Hmm.
developing.